Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gaming Lounge Podcast, episode 58. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and as always, I'm joined by Dory. How you doing, Dory?
Hello. Just got back from a very long camp training and very excited to just be at home after having some delicious Italian food and just relaxing and talking about video games and stuff. This episode's going to be a bit all over the place in terms of topics. We're going to talk some Switch 2 in terms of Donkey Kong. And then we're going to do a bunch of impressions because we haven't been able to talk about actual video games for a while, like games that we're actually playing. So Seb's played the Gex Trilogy that just came back. And I played Jump the Track. And Seb played Lies of P Overture. I meant to play that, but never had time for it. I have been playing other games or dealing with other stuff. And then our big topic today is a mid-year report card. So if you want to know what we think about Sony or Xbox or Nintendo, what our favorite indie is, what our most disappointing games are, and our top 5 GOTY will be the main thing. So we'll be talking about all that plus a lot more. So that's what we got on tap for today.
All right, let's start with our first topic, which is Donkey Kong Bananza. So we got a whole showcase for it. It's coming out on July 17th on the Nintendo Switch 2. All right, so the first thing is it's a first fully 3D Donkey Kong adventure game since Donkey Kong 64, so since the 90s. It has an open world structure, and it's connected by underground zones, and it focuses on exploration, destruction, and transforming into different things. It's set in the underground world with varied biomes like jungles, icy caves, beaches, and ruins. It has highly destructible environments. You can smash walls, dig tunnels, and you can find hidden paths. He can in this game, Donkey Kong can transform into different animals. It says it's powered by a collectible banana energy. The forms include a gorilla, who gives him like really max power and like heavy smash attacks. He can turn to a zebra, where he can sprint really fast and run across the water. He's also an ostrich, where he can glide and jump really long. And also in this game, the rock creature ended up being Pauline, like a young Pauline, and she's Donkey Kong's partner character. She rides on his back. And apparently this game has co-op mode, which allows a second player to assist using a simplified control mode. And then there's also voice-based support powers and musical boosts during combat and exploration. There's also an RPG element to this game. There's skill points and upgrades that you can get via the Banandium, chips and gems. There's optional side-scrolling levels, which give you bonus rewards, and there's like a retro flair to it, so it's like tribute to the old school Donkey Kong. There's also an artist mode that lets you sculpt in-game objects using a motion tool. So there's a fully creative sandbox mode. The story centers on Donkey Kong retrieving a golden banana-shaped diamond, which is stolen by Voidco. The music plays a key role in the transformations and story moments. The soundtrack mixes classic Donkey Kong themes with new vocal tracks. So overall, the impressions have been very positive. People are very excited of the large world, the destructible terrain, and the visual creativity. People have compared it to Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. I think the Mario Odyssey devs worked on it. So that's the vibe I was getting as well.
That's correct.
So what did you think of it?
This looks fucking awesome. This whole segment is going to be me full of regret because I have not gotten a Switch 2 and will not be playing this at launch. It looks awesome. I don't think we know how much it is. Correct?
No, we do. It's $70.
$70. Okay. Well, it's not bad. I'd say 60, but that's not terrible, I guess. Anyway, it looks good. The graphics look beautiful. It pops. The destructible environments remind me of Hulk Ultimate Destruction. It's like if you took everything great about Mario Odyssey and you fused it with the Incredible Hulk game that I just mentioned, this is kind of what you would get. It looks, I mean, again, it looks amazing. The music sounds super good. Nintendo always delivers on the musical front, usually on the graphics and performance as well. I love the co-op idea. So that if I do ever get a Switch 2 and Kim and I could play this together. One of my favorite things is that people have gotten super crazy about the lore. So Daisy, of course, has been revealed as your partner in crime throughout it, and she is much younger than she is in Super Mario Odyssey. So people are saying that this is a prequel to Odyssey. Pauline. I don't know why I said Daisy. Pauline is much younger than she is. There's Daisy, there's Peach, and there's Pauline. Pauline is much younger than she is when she's in Odyssey, and what is the city called? New Funk City or something like that.
New Donk City.
New Donk City. Thank you. But yeah. So people are calling this, maybe it's a prequel. Somebody said, I can't get out of my mind that, like, after this whole big adventure together, like, Donkey Kong, like, brings Pauline to a construction site, and then this evil plumber shows up to, like, kidnap her, and he's like, hey man, what the hell are you doing? And then it starts like the Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong game from the arcades. I think that would be phenomenal, and I would love it if they would do that. I have no idea if they would make Mario a villain, even like a misunderstood villain. I doubt they would ever do that, Nintendo, I mean. But I think it would be incredible if they would do that callback. But, Donkey Kong and Mario don't really have any lore per se. But, I mean, that just also means they can do whatever they want. I think it's a cool idea. I think they should have Mario be the final boss of the game. I think that'd be really fun. But regardless of whatever they do, this looks amazing. And I love the destructible environments. I love the music. Apparently, you can turn into a fucking ostrich. You can turn into a bigger monkey. And you can combine those to figure out like how to navigate certain environments. Looks like you'll have some boss fights too that look really cool. So yeah, I'm just super sold on this game. And I've said before, I'm pretty picky about open world, but this looks really good. I love Donkey Kong 64 growing up. I'm aware it hasn't aged well in some ways, but I really liked what I got out of this presentation.
Yeah, the big conversation was the lore, because they've changed the lore. I mean, obviously, Pauline debuted in the very first Donkey Kong game with Mario in the same game, and Donkey Kong was the villain and Mario was the hero. And then in Donkey Kong Jr., Mario's the bad guy, and what people always assume was the original Donkey Kong turned into Cranky Kong, the old Donkey, the old gorilla, and he apparently is in this game. Yeah. So it can't be a prequel because Cranky Kong's in this game. So sure. It's the whole thing's confusing. I think what it really is, they just don't care.
Yes, absolutely.
But people always said that Donkey Kong Jr. is actually Donkey Kong's dad. So Cranky Kong is the modern Donkey Kong's grandfather, and Donkey Kong Jr. basically just got replaced by the rare Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Country, Rare's version of Donkey Kong. He became the de facto Donkey Kong for like 20-something years until like they did the Seth Rogen Donkey Kong in the Mario movie. And now this Donkey Kong, the new one, is going to replace the Donkey Kong we've known for the last 20-something years, that design. Because they designed him differently in the Mario Kart game too. So I think that's going to be the new Donkey Kong from now on, and for the next 20-something years at least. So the timeline is definitely lore to Mario and Donkey Kong. So people can question it, but I don't think they really care. I think it's just supposed to be a simple story. Turn your brain off, kind of just have fun. I mean, Mario is just like Princess Peach gets captured and you have to save her from Bowser, who wants to marry her, or take over Mushroom Kingdom. Like, that's the story of almost every Mario game. So it's really not that serious. But I do love lore too. So I just don't think about it when it comes to Donkey Kong. All right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Nintendo cares. Nintendo barely cares about the Legend of Zelda lore, which is arguably a lot more, actualized in terms of being a thing.
Yeah.
Another thing they talked about, which I'm not sure if you mentioned, is that you can customize how Pauline and Donkey Kong look like.
No, I didn't mention that.
So you can get really cute. Um, you can get like really cute stuff.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little details was under the naked description. It says, "As the day you were born, and there's nothing to be ashamed of." Love that. And then yeah, you can give Pauline different outfits too. And I guess different outfits give you different boosts or bonuses
Yeah.
to whatever you're doing. So some help you. Like there's a treasure tie. It says increases the chance a treasure chest will appear as you destroy terrain by 10%.
Yeah.
I hope. I know this is kind of controversial or conflicted within the gaming community, but I kind of hope that you can move those benefits around to different clothing so that you're not forced to wear certain clothes the whole game or parts of the whole game just because, especially if you don't like the way it looks. It's not a huge deal, of course,
Yeah.
but it would be nice. I always appreciate when games are like, yeah, each set of clothing comes with a benefit, but you can, I think they call it transmogrify, right? That you can basically transpose one benefit to a different clothing or whatever. I really appreciate when games do that. So I hope they do that here. But even if they don't, like I just said, not a huge deal.
Yeah. It reminds me of Mario Odyssey. I mean, it's almost exactly like Mario Odyssey. Like you go to a shop and you buy an outfit and you can wear it.
Right.
But I don't remember that game having stats in it for clothing that you wear. So I don't know if they're gonna do the same thing. But it looked like you can mix and match different outfits. So I don't think you have to wear one outfit only. I think you can combine stats with different items. So
Yeah.
yeah. So it's a good question.
A couple of things I wanted to note before we wrap up here. There's a picture mode which looks cool. Nintendo doesn't always do that, so I appreciate it. There's a way to listen to all the music you have, which I'm sure will be very popular. And then one interesting thing that you can do is that I think. One sec. I think I misinterpreted something. It kind of looked like you could make your own levels at some point. Oh, you know what I'm thinking about? This DK artist thing.
Yeah.
Is fucking weird. Apparently, you can just like make sculptures based around like whatever you want. So they show off like Donkey Kong and Mario, of course. And yeah, it's kind of weird, but it feels very Nintendo.
Yeah. I thought that was cool too. I mentioned that using the motion controls, and it looks really good.
Yeah.
But personally, I wouldn't do that. Like, it doesn't really appeal to me. But
no, I wouldn't either.
Cool
but I do think it's neat.
So overall, I think this game looks really great. I think it's probably gonna be my top 10 games. If it's on the quality of Mario Odyssey, I think this game's gonna be a top 10 game for me. This is the game I've been most excited about this year after Metroid Prime. Like, this is the game I was thinking about when I really wanted to switch to day one. I was like, I have to have this. This feels like this should have been a launch game. It's kind of odd that we have to wait a month for it, but I guess they just wanted to make Mario Kart World a big seller, and then a month later force people to buy this game for $70. So it's good marketing on Nintendo's part, even though it sucks for the consumer. But this game looks like a blast. It looks amazing, and I'm excited that we finally got a Donkey Kong game that's 3D for the first time since Nintendo 64. So it's been a long time, and it looks really great. So day one already. All right, let's move on to another platformer, which is Gex Trilogy, which is quite not as good as Donkey Kong Bananza, unfortunately. So it's no secret that I'm a big Gex fan. I grew up with Gex on the PS1. I played all 3 games on the PS1. And this game is, well, let's say games, because it's all 3 of them. Let's say this trilogy is definitely stuck in the past. It's both nostalgic, which is a good thing, in that like you're playing a game from the 90s, and if there's no changes or anything, it's exactly what it was. But at the same time, it doesn't age well at all, unfortunately. It's not a great port. It's pretty lazy. It's not a remaster at all. You could easily just emulated this and got the same thing out of it. The people that did this game, which is what do you call it? The Limited Games did a lousy job with this game. Limited Run Games. Limited Run Games, they can be a controversial company. They make some wacky decisions that irritate people. Uh, they can do some lazy decisions, and this is one of them. Um, but I still love Gex, and I enjoy his cheesiness. He all he says is '90s pop culture references, so it's definitely a bit jarring when he makes quips that are like really dated. Half the people he talks about are either dead or like in their 80s, 70s, and this trilogy is purely for people like me who grew up. I would not recommend this to anyone that's under the age of 30 at all. And but if you do uh, play it, it does have a variety of levels. It's like they're all like television based. Basically, he goes into different worlds that are range from all different kind of things as any platformer does. It's like there's like a space levels and like the grassy plain levels. The platforming in the first game especially is challenging. It's actually a hard game. There is a rewind feature which is cool. That made a big difference. It made the game so much easier because I couldn't imagine playing that game nowadays because it's so overly difficult. Because it's one of the it's like those '90s platformers where like they make it really hard because otherwise you beat the game in 3 hours.
Right, of course.
So they had to make it like overly hard and it's annoying. Um, all right, so they did improve the camera and movement a bit. The gameplay is a little better. The textures are slightly better and the resolution's a little better, but it's really not what it should have been. This game really needed a remake more than anything else. There are new modes and there's a remix soundtracks and behind the scene extras you can use, but the cons outweigh the pros. Unfortunately, the levels can be really frustrating. The camera angles and the jumps are imprecise. Um, it really could have used more improvement there. The difficulty, like I said, is just there's a really bad spikes where it gets really hard, and there's a lot of unnecessary backtracking, especially in the 3D ones. The level design is charming at first, but it feels very dated, and it feels like large empty spaces. Even back then, Gex was not an amazing platformer. It's no Super Mario 64. It never was, but it was still cool to me. It was, but like obviously Gex is nostalgic to me, but obviously I don't think he's on the same level as Mario, Spyro, or Crash. Like that's like those are the three most iconic platformers in the '90s. I think Gex was always like second tier, but I still really enjoyed him. Uh, like the mixed levels are like the level quality is really mixed. It's like they feel very less inspired and they're very repetitive. Just uninspired overall, especially earlier games, and it does not look good on a widescreen at all. It cannot be played on an ultra widescreen, so don't even bother with that. This is a Steam Deck game or a Rogue Ally game. Or a laptop game. I would not play this if you have an ultra wide monitor or a nice monitor. It's not going to look good. The humor is going to be very hit or miss. Again, if you're under the age of 30, you're not going to understand anything he's referencing for the most part. This is purely a '90s game. So overall, it's $30 remaster, and it's really dependent on how old you are. But just be mindful, this is a very outdated '90s platforming series, underrated, but underrated in the sense of nostalgia. It does not hold up anymore. If you played like Ratchet and Clank, Astrobot, Mario Odyssey, this game's gonna feel like the Stone Age, unfortunately, because we've come a long way in platforming movement, and yeah, I don't recommend it. And if you do want to play this and you're older than me or same age as me, get it on sale. Do not get it full price. Any questions, Dory?
That's a shame.
Yeah. Any questions?
Uh, not really. That
Okay.
sucks. I grew up with Gex a little bit. I definitely played one of the games on the Game Boy. I don't remember which it was, but it was on a handheld device. I don't think I ever played like his 3D adventures or
Yeah.
anything. But Yeah, that's a bummer. I wasn't familiar with this company, but given their track record, I guess it makes sense that this didn't go very well. Um, yeah, I can imagine some of the pop culture jokes landing for me, but I
Wait,
bet even by my standards, they'd probably be mostly misses. I don't know though.
you never heard of limited run games?
Uh, maybe vaguely. What else are they known for doing?
Well, they're typically known for the company that brings back old games and makes them physical.
Oh, okay.
That's the main
Oh
thing they
yeah,
do.
yeah, I do know them. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I knew I'd heard that name before, but I couldn't remember
they
where.
just done questionable things in the at times, and this is just they can be lazy at times with it. Like they don't remaster. They're not like blue. They're not like Blue Point games or something where like they fully remake it. They kind of just put the game on there. It's good for game preservation, but this series really needs a remake. Now I don't know if there's anyone calling for that. If it's worth the money, the investment to do so. Unfortunately, I think Gex is going to be stuck in the corner. But they are not remaking. They are porting old classic games. I mean, I think Croc just got a remaster this year, and
Right.
or at least a port. And I think Toomba is coming. A remaster of that's coming or a port.
Oh boy, Toomba, I remember that too.
Yeah,
Mba.
and I know I've there's a couple of hidden remakes that have come out in the last couple of years that no one's talked about because they just didn't advertise it at all. So
Right.
platforming is getting popular again a little bit, but it's still not like a major genre where a lot of developers
Well,
are
it
gonna.
also helps that people are making newer platformers that are inspired by platformers of the 90s, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
have that Clockwork one that looks like a combination of Kingdom Hearts and,
yeah,
old school mascot 3D platformers.
yeah,
Um, so, and then there's been other platformers besides that in the last few years, Ukulele and
yeah.
some other ones. The kangaroo one that came out.
KO the
Penny's
kangaroo. Yep,
Yeah, KO the kangaroo. Penny's Big Breakaway.
yeah,
That one was a big one for a little bit, at least for being an indie. So yeah, it seems like platformers are back on the rise, and I like that. I mean, platforming is not my favorite genre, but when it's accessible, I do appreciate it, and
yeah.
as long as it's not super long, I can usually enjoy myself.
Only to an extent though. The only sellers are Nintendo's. Mario's like the only one really that sells a lot. Like
Yeah,
Astrobot was a huge success in terms of like
Astrobot, of course. Yep,
one game of the year and everything, but it didn't sell very well,
right.
unfortunately. I didn't sell horrendous, but it definitely didn't sell like it didn't sell Mario level. Not even
That's
close.
well, yeah, of course. I mean, most things don't sell Mario level. I would
Well,
imagine. I
even
don't
that,
know.
even on its own terms, I don't think it sold very well. But I don't know.
That's crazy to me. Asobi has such a good reputation at this point, and they've come out with two great games. And
Yeah,
I know they were kind of glorified tech demos, but I mean, they were still for what they were. I mean, they were great, especially because I think they were both free.
yeah.
So yeah,
The sad truth of gaming audiences are that Twitter and like social media is not a good representation of actual gamers because
yeah,
like something we're clamoring for is not what the casual audience is clamoring for. So like there's a reason why
right,
Sony only makes AAA cinematic games because they sell, and there's a reason why they closed their studios. They used to make
right,
platformers like this all the time. It's because people don't support them, unfortunately.
yeah,
So all right. Anyway, lazy port. If you really want this, wait for a sale. Otherwise, avoid it or just emulate. All right. Moving on to Jump the Track, which is an indie game that came out, I believe, this month or at least late last month. I think it was this month. Either way, Dory, you beat it. Can you tell us about it, please?
absolutely. So I put about 2.5 hours into it. It came out May 28th, so late
Yeah.
last month was correct.
Okay.
So jump the track. So unlike Gex, I know this sounds like a platformer, but it absolutely is not. You are not jumping any tracks. This is a narrative-based. It's a door game. We talked about it last time, but choices, consequences, story, heavy narrative, a lot of political themes. So that's got me there too. I'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll talk about some pros. I'll talk about some cons. I'll talk about my overall thoughts, and obviously, if Seb has any questions, feel free to chime in. So the first thing off the top you'll notice is that the aesthetic of the game, very, very pretty. I took a lot of screenshots. Not maybe not a ton, but a good amount. Very comic booky, very kind of sketchy in a good way. I just love the artwork. I'm kind of obsessed with it, honestly. It just looks really, really nice. It's got that kind of frenetic comic book style, but it feels very put together too. The art direction's very clear on this one. I love it. Anyway, so you are playing as a man named Sam. Sam who's got a plan. And Sam's plan is that he is going to give this mob boss who he's been working for a while, who's just a nice guy, really. I mean, he's always done right by Sam, and he's never hurt anybody that he knows of. So he's got to be a good guy. So he's drawing the guy's daughter's teddy bear in a laundromat, and he gets a little distracted. He's got a lot of side hustles, a lot of ways to make money. And he's kind of ignoring his friends, pushing other people away. He's trying to hustle, focus on getting money and not focus on, his friends and his loved ones and stuff like that. So, maybe there's a message there. But eventually he discovers that in his pursuit of getting all that money and all those side errands, he's like knitting and stuff like that. He forgot about the teddy bear and eventually just gets fried in the drying machine. And obviously he's working for a pretty sketchy guy, and this was his daughter's favorite plushie. So he freaks out and basically goes on a very long quest to win this citywide contest to get a plushie that basically was the one that she had, which is very plot convenient, of course. And across the way, he meets a lot of interesting characters and has a lot of cool conversations. And revolution comes up, and stuff goes from there. I loved the way that the characters and dialogue was written. Just very funny. Definitely some times where I chuckled. I'm not gonna say this game is hilarious, but it was funny. It was entertaining. I always was happy to see these characters talking to each other. The main gameplay mechanic could be not controversial, but could be a bit of a stress point for some people. So I don't know. Hopefully most people know what Peggle is, right? So it's the kind of game where it's kind of like pinball, but you basically have to like hit a ball in a certain position and it'll get rid of that ball. In this game, if you get rid of enough balls of a certain color, so for example, diplomacy is green, then there's going to be a bunch of green orbs that you have to hit with your like pinball, basically. And if you hit enough of them, there's a little gauge on the right to tell you how many you've hit. You'll be able to make that choice. You always can make a default choice, but if you get enough of these little Peggle orbs, you can make a diplomatic answer or a fiery answer. You can lie. You can try to be like, turn the charisma up and seduce. So the game gives you lots of options. I will say I never felt like those options super changed what happened in terms of the overall narrative, but obviously it changed your response and what the characters said to you. So it changes the little things, but the overall picture largely remains the same, right? You're still going to go to area X and you're still going to find detail Y, and that's going to end with you going to location Z, right? So all of that, the larger scale thing is still happening, but we'll get to that later. So all the Peggle orbs, you have different techniques you can get to. My favorite was there was one. The one I liked the most was that there was one that told you where the orb was going to go and how it would bounce off the screen. And so that helped me the most because it always told me, okay, how do I get the most bang for my buck per, Peggle ball? And another one I really liked you got from a butcher. So it's basically one that like cuts into a whole swath of like Peggle orbs. And you only get like a limited amount. You get like 2 or 3, I think. And so then you run out and your ball turns back to normal. That's another mechanism. You only have so many, you only have so many like of these pinballs left. And then you have to make whatever choice you have. So sometimes that'll be a frustrating situation where you want to be diplomatic, but you only got enough orbs to go either lie or to be seductive, right? And you might not want to do either of those, so you'll pick just the blank, neutral, generic response. Not always a great situation to be in, but it does offer some replay value. Let's see. The music was nice. Nothing really memorable, but I enjoyed all of the music that I heard. Didn't think there was a bad track among it. I'm not, nominating it for anything, but I liked it. And last pro I'll say is this game, for me, game's very political, and I like that. It comments on capitalism, on overworking yourself, the importance of community, the issues with the philosophy of individualism, at least in its vulgar context. I feel like a lot of the ways that this game approach those things are with care and some level of nuance, although you could argue the villains are pretty cartoonish. Although, on the other hand, it is literally a comic book style. So I struggle to get upset about that. Also, some of the people in our world who are bad people are cartoonishly evil. So I don't know. Go figure that one out. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game overall. It was great, but I do have a couple caveats. Don't try to 100% this game. Just go watch a YouTube video or something. It's only 2.5 hours long, at least for me it was. So I know it's not going to sound like a lot, but you have to do every single Peggle puzzle thing, right? You can't skip it, and if you have a ball, you have to use it. And that gets kind of annoying at times where you just want it to be over because you've already gotten the choice you want to make. And I just wish there was a skip button. It can get really annoying if you're trying to 100% this. You can't chapter select, so you have to play the whole game over again. If there was a chapter select, absolutely replay this game and make certain choices. But the other thing is, the only choices that really seem to matter are the late game choices. And not a huge deal. As somebody who plays a lot of narrative games, I'm familiar with this game design philosophy, and I respect it and I understand it. It's just easier that way, if that's the case, rather than having a Mass Effect kind of situation or Telltale or whatever, right? It's just easier to just, and even they sometimes, didn't do as well as people wanted. But so it can feel a little limiting. Sometimes it feels like this was always going to happen no matter what. And if you look at some of the reviews for this game, one of them that stood out to me was one that says that it wasn't recommended. But they tried to play it 3 times to score all achievements, and talked about how how it's very linear. Like if you are trying to run away, losing the mini game that you're playing results in being caught. Win or fail, nothing changes if you're trying to not fall off a bus. Some mini games give you a forced bad result even if you clear them. So basically they're just complaining about some of the padding, and I felt that too, because sometimes I would succeed at something and the game would be like, okay, but succeed at it again. Okay, but do it again. And I'm like, I feel like you want me to fail. Why not just force me to fail at this point? I swear there was one choice that I succeeded at getting the best score for, because sometimes it's not about choices, it's about score. You're supposed to outscore what the game wants you to do, 10,000 points or something. So if you get 11,000, you'll be able to do well at whatever activity you're doing, breaking into a bank or running away from the police or whatever, right? These are examples. Not necessarily in the game. But yeah, it overall, I felt like the choices felt important, but some of the late game puzzles felt like BS. It felt like the game wanted me to fail. Sometimes it would just railroad you, and it would just be like, hey, here's an impossible situation. We're not going to give you any special pinballs either, so there's no way for you to clear this. And I'm like, why not just have a cinematic at that point? You're just wasting my time, right? So little things. Overall, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 5 or an 8 out of 10. Not an amazing game, but a great game. And I would recommend at least going through it once. If you want to get all the achievements and 100% it, I wouldn't really recommend that because there's no chapter select. But if you really want to, it's not a bad game to replay. I think it's worth at least one replay, but trying to 100% it probably wouldn't be worth it. I personally got the ending I wanted, and when that happens to me with the game, I'm usually satisfied. So, Seb, do you have any questions about it?
I don't have any questions about it, but it seems like it's going under the radar because on Steam it only has 45 reviews,
Yeah,
which is
for sure.
and it's positive.
Yes,
It's only $10, so it's not expensive or anything. But
right.
yeah, it's just it's Peggle, right? What a
Yeah,
story! What a story! That's basically all it
yeah.
is.
It's Peggle with a story, more or less. Yep.
But the story sounds like it's interesting, and if only life was so simple, you can just get out of social settings by playing Peggle, right?
God, I wish.
But it's something I'll play at some point. It seems like it's only on PC. I want to say I don't see
I
it
believe so. Though.
anywhere
Yeah.
else. But it looks interesting, and I'll definitely check it out. So I don't even questions. It's a pretty straightforward game. It sounds like
Yeah.
it's too straightforward though. It sounds like it's too linear. Like that's the
It's
biggest
a little too linear in places. Yeah, I would say that's accurate.
because I'm reading reviews and that's been like the most consistent problem people have had. That it's a chore to play through again because it's so linear. Is what I'm
Okay.
saying. All right, but it sounds cool. All right, moving on to Lies of P Overture, which is with the DLC for Lies of P. All right, so Lies of P, if you didn't know, is a Souls game. It's basically Pinocchio in a gothic setting, Bloodborne type of setting, and it's really awesome. It's one of my favorite games of this decade, and it was my top 10 games when it came out a couple years ago. And we finally got DLC for it. Now, if you're thinking this is a sequel, it's not. It is a prequel to it, but it's largely a side story, even though it's a prequel. I mean, it is a prequel. It does explore a character that they've mentioned in the original game, so it does tie into the story pretty well. So I would say it's a prequel overall, but it's not like it's a pretty straightforward story. You can still understand what's going on even if you don't know the story of the game. But you do have you're gonna know a lot of the aspects of the story because you have to be at chapter 9 to play the DLC. So if you're not at chapter 9, you cannot play this DLC. So just keep that in mind. You cannot get into the DLC until you're in chapter 9, which is the end of the game. All right. So if you're in New Game Plus, you're going to have to play through the whole game again to get to chapter 9. So just be mindful of that. All right. So the pros. So let's introduce these cool characters. It has a new narrative, supporting characters, and it deepens the original storyline. So I think it did a good job of that. I was into the story. It explores the lore of the main character and his backstory. I mean, he's a puppet, right? He's a Pinocchio. He's based on a real boy, like actual that Geppetto's real son that died, and he made him into a puppet. And he's trying to resurrect his son using the puppet. And but this doesn't tie into the DLC. The DLC is more of like it jumps more into the real boy's backstory and his best friend and the hunter I forget what they're called, but the hunter basically that they wanted to be uh, instead. All right, the combat mechanics are good. It's Souls like. I think the parries are tighter, the smoother dodges. You can do more weapon combos, so it's maybe more strategic. There's more weapons and tools. But they were really cool looking. I really like the design of the tools. I thought that the locations in this game and the DLC were really great. I really liked the carnival setting. It looked very pretty with the Ferris wheel in the background and things like that. It was very pretty. The zoo was a cool idea as a setting. The mansion setting was really cool, especially in the distance. There's like a Antarctic lighthouse setting, and with the aurora in the sky and stuff, it was very pretty. The visuals of the DLC are fantastic. I thought that was one of the best parts of the DLC. Uh, and this DLC has a lot of great exploration and world design, like as I said. So there's different locations that connect to each other very well, but it also feels like the same world at the same time. So it was really nice. There's a lot of cool vertical exploration. So there's a lot of there's like lighthouses you can travel through or ships up and that have different locations and different doors, and there's a lot of exploration. So there's a lot of replayability to find all the hidden chests and hidden items and things like that. The visuals, as I said, are great. There's enhanced lighting. The particle effects are great. The character models look really good. I think they're improved and elevated since the original game, so they look better. The bosses are in the DLC are very challenging. Just keep that in mind. This game is still very hard, and they're gonna test your skills and your ability to recognize their patterns. All right. So overall, in the terms of the positives, this is a great DLC. Great visuals, great gameplay. great. The storyline's good, and I was very into it. It was a nice prequel to the original game. I would be I would be familiar with the game first before you get into the DLC. But again, you start the DLC in chapter 9, so by that point you already know most of the story. So it's not like you're gonna get spoiled by anything. So you'll enjoy it if you like Lies of P. This is definitely a must play, and I think it's definitely worth the money if you're into Lies of P. And I always say it's the best non From Software Souls game ever made. I think it is the best, and it's fantastic. Now the cons for this game is there's definitely a steep difficulty curve. It's a hard game. You can even argue that the DLC is harder than the original game, and you just be mindful that you're gonna get frustrated. And it's a Souls game, so don't expect this game to be amazing, like amazing for like accessibility or like it's gonna be like a walk in the park or anything like that. It's a Souls game. Now I don't know how easy the easy mode is. I couldn't tell you. I've played this game normally. I don't play Souls games in easy mode. They usually don't have easy mode until like maybe after when they add it on or something. But if I don't judge anyone that plays in easy mode anyway. But I can't tell you how easy it is. But I can imagine it's probably not a walk in the park on easy mode either. It's still probably somewhat of a challenge, but not what it is. Um, if you're the locations are I think unique, but it still is a very Victorian Gothic vibe. So don't expect anything radically different than the usual location. The mechanics are not super updated or anything. It's still pretty much the same gameplay as the original game. So if you're expecting anything beyond that, it's nothing like that. You're gonna have some frame rate issues if you have a lower end PC or something like that. This DLC requires higher PC specs, in my opinion. I have a 4080, so I had zero issues. I had really consistent high frame rate, so it ran very smoothly for me. But just be mindful, this DLC is going to require a solid computer. But Dory, I think you'll be fine. And this one of my notes I don't agree with. This is with some people's opinions on the storyline just being like supplementary rather than standalone. Even though it adds on to the original game, I think it stands alone pretty well on it. This doesn't it's totally fine. So overall, it's a really good DLC. I recommend it for $30. If you like Lies of P, you'll really love this. And if you didn't like it because it was too hard or you're just not into it, this DLC is not for you. It's not gonna make it better for you. I think the main thing is that the difficulty settings are made the game more accessible for people because this game is very challenging. And I did beat it two times, so there's that. So it's not that hard. It's not impossible to beat, but it's definitely a very hard game. Any questions, Dory, about the DLC?
Yeah, I mean, how do you? So it's now the normal difficulty, a lower difficulty, and Butterfly's Guidance, right? Is there one in the middle of Butterfly's Guidance and normal, or is normal? I'm a little lost on all the difficulty modes. I was trying to look it up so I didn't have to ask you.
Yeah,
but
there's three of them.
I'm not finding.
There's
Okay.
according to Google, it says there's Butterfly's Guidance, which is very easy.
Right.
Then you have Awakened Puppet, which is easy. And then you have Legendary Stalker, which is normal. So normal is the highest difficulty.
Normal is the highest. Okay.
Yeah.
How do you think? I think what I'm gonna do, because I am gonna play this now that there's difficulty options, because I always thought this game looked fucking cool.
Yeah.
I think what I'll do is I'll try to play it on normal at first, and then I'm probably gonna dial it down, or maybe I'll do it on Awakened Puppet and see how I feel about that. Because I did beat Black Myth. I know Black Myth's not like the toughest Souls like or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But I've beaten Kingdom Hearts on critical, and I think I beat Devil May Cry 5 on one of the harder difficult, not the hardest, but one of the above normal anyway. So I mean, my pedigree is not long or particularly thorough, but I have beaten tough games before. I beat Kill Knight. Kill Knight was fucking tough too. I loved Kill Knight.
I'm playing that right now.
Oh, it's so good, dude. I had to beat the final level on easy though. I couldn't do it. It was maddening. Excuse me. But yeah, I don't know. Any tips for you, from me, or any thoughts on anything I should consider when I start to play it? I do plan on playing it at some point this year. I'm not sure exactly when. It's not on my immediate radar.
Yeah.
Um, but I think later in the year I'll probably give it a shot.
There's certainly builds that make the game significantly easier. So if you care about that kind of stuff and you want to like cheese the game a little bit, make
Right.
it a lot easier. There's definitely easier builds. A lot of enemies are weak to fire and lightning items
Right. Makes
and
sense.
daggers and swords and stuff like that. So make sure you customize your arm and your weapons with that. And items are like OP in this game. You can throw them at the items at the bosses, and it does a lot of damage to them. A lot of them are damaged. A lot
Gotcha.
of them get damaged by the lightning because they're robots. Most of the enemies in this game are robots. You'll probably find the beginning easy-ish. It's more so when you find a boss, then the difficulty spikes.
Right. Makes sense.
But it's not like I don't
Do
know.
you think it's comparable to Wukong, or do you think it's harder than Wukong?
I think it's much harder than Wukong. I think
Much harder.
it's like Sekiro level. Not
Okay.
Sekiro's harder, but
Yeah. Yeah.
Sekiro's faster. This is more like Dark Souls in a way. Is this game requires you to parry
Yeah.
decently. And parrying in this
All
game
right.
is,
I'm trying on Awakened Puppet, and then see how I do, and
yeah,
then if I'm beating my head up against the wall, I'll put on Butterfly's Guidance. But
yeah.
I think easy mode is the way to go for me.
Main thing is
Not very easy,
yeah.
but easy.
The main thing is just using the elements for your advantage. Getting like the items that you can throw at the bosses to do a lot of damage. Use those. Make sure you use the elements. That's the main thing I would recommend.
Okay.
And be mindful of your endurance when you parry and stuff. Don't get yourself stuck where you can't block or anything because your endurance got broken or drained. What else? It's a Souls game, so you gotta be mindful of what a Souls game is. Know the patterns. You're gonna die a lot, but learn the patterns. You can have a second person NPC help you. You can summon it, and the little every Souls game you can always have like a little thing where you can summon a NPC to help you. They can help you a
Right.
lot if you really need it as well. So
Yeah, and I don't mind tough games. I mean, I've played tough games before. I just Souls games always get on my nerves, but I've talked about that a million times. So
yeah, I think this is one of the hardest ones, but
yeah.
it is one of those. It's one of those things. It's so subjective because I've seen people beat this game with like they speedrun it now, and I've seen people beat this game with like level one. Like they played the whole game at level one. They didn't even
Right.
that kind of thing. Like people are so good, but I don't have that kind of patience to like play the same game for 500 hours, where I can
Yeah.
master the game like that. I don't really care about that. Anyway, yeah, you'll like it, but just try it out on the normal difficulty, and then always play the lower difficulties if you really, because if I really recommend the game. The story is great, and the characters are great and very likable. It's really interesting. Like the gothic environment looks amazing, and it's a really cool story. Story is
Yeah.
very similar to like Bioshock or something.
Right. Like I said, I always thought it looked really cool. It's just what turned me off from playing the game was, no difficulty mode. So now that there is one,
Yeah,
I think I'll definitely give it a shot. And if I don't like it, whatever. But
yeah. I think
I'm looking forward to it.
that's the big the mindset of them is to make the game more accessible to a bigger audience. I think
Right.
because that's the big conversation about this DLC and the patch to add difficulty. Because there are people that argue that if you can't handle the game, you shouldn't play it. The game should not be for everybody. And I do understand that that if they shouldn't have to make every game for everybody, but at the same time, I don't think difficulty is really a big deal because it doesn't affect me. If I want to play the game how I want to play it, then why do I care if someone plays on easy mode? It doesn't really matter to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and different people have different amount of time that they're able to dedicate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you and I, we don't have kids, I mean, we have jobs and stuff like that, and I have a partner, but still, it's like, at the same time, it's like everybody's got a different amount that they can commit, and not everyone can commit to banging their head up against the wall for 500 hours just to
Yeah.
get past one boss. So
Yeah.
I'm always going to be on the side of accessibility. I'm looking at this review right now from D Uric on Steam that that is just so thankful that there's an ability to not only change difficulty, but you can change it mid-game. You can still get achievements. I mean, that's awesome to me. So I'm really happy. I mean, they're gonna purchase the DLC now because they've enjoyed the game so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I just don't see the downside. More people are happy. These. Oh, I meant to mention this too. I think they hit a milestone recently for how many copies Lies of P has sold. I can't remember the exact number, but all the devs got like an early bonus pay or something of like it was a good amount of money, like 7,000 or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was a nice little story. You don't get a lot of nice stories in the games industry, so I wanted to shout that out. Good on the Lies of P devs for doing that.
Yeah, it sold over 3 million copies.
Right.
And it reached 10 million players on Game Pass. Yeah. Or 7 million players on Game Pass. So that's very successful for that kind of game. It's a, you know, are they? I think they're new. Let's see. Lies of P.
NeoWiz.
Yeah, if you click on their name on Steam, they made a couple games. Well, they made a good amount of games, but nothing on this level.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's great. Yeah, like I think the big thing people have issue with the difficulty is that they don't think it's fair that you get the same achievements as people that played on a higher difficulty. Now you can fix that just by making the trophy like beat this game on this level, or like if you really care about platinum or something like that, then just do the trophies like that's how they used to do it, like difficulty trophies, where it's like beat the game on the highest difficulty, beat the game on the medium difficulty. I guess you can do it that way, but I really don't care. I mean,
right.
Like, is it really? Who cares? I just don't. Yeah. It doesn't affect how I play the game. So why do I care if Dory beat the game on easy mode and I beat it on normal? Does it really affect my enjoyment of the game? No. So that's really how I feel about it. All right.
All right.
So let's move on to the final topic of the night, which is our mid-year report card. So as of recording, today is June 21st, and it's pretty much the midpoint of the year. And it's the middle of the summer, and I wanted to hit on how we feel about this year so far in gaming. I want to go through each of the companies, the big three, which is Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. As Dory mentioned, we're going to talk about our favorite indie game, or indie games, if you have any more. Although personally, I've only played like one new indie game this year. Just been so many double AAA games this year. Our most disappointing game, the worst game we've played, which is not going to be this year, and our top 5 games of the year. So let's start with Sony. Now, I would say overall, Sony's had the worst first half of the year compared to the other two. Not that I think PS5 is in a bad spot. I think PlayStation's always been third-party heavy. And I think there's been so many indies and AA and AAA games that are third party to play that I think if you play PS5, you're totally fine. I don't think you would notice. Like all the games we talk about, like on PC or on PlayStation 5 too, for the most part. So the only exception is like indie games, like Jump the Track, which would not be on PlayStation 5. But otherwise, you'd be fine on PS5. But it is lacking in first party. I'm not gonna say it's not. It's definitely been an issue. That live service focus has been an issue, which we'll talk about. But let's start with some things they've done this year. First thing is the Midnight Black accessories. So a lot of their accessories and console and things like that have been white, right? That's like their main focus. But they've made everything black now, like a matte black. They made the DualSense Edge black, and the headset and the earbuds and the PlayStation Portal all black. And it looks really nice, and I really like it. I love white too. But the matte black looks really nice. So that was a good thing they did. Another thing they did on a more negative side is they implemented a 25% hike on PS5 digital editions across Europe, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand in April because of the tariffs. And they were dropped and reduced the prices on the standalone disc drive. And now they're evaluating whether to do the same thing in the US. With discussions of possibly manufacturing consoles domestically to ease tariff costs. So they're gonna make their games make the console in the country to avoid tariffs. Doesn't affect us because A, we live in the United States, and B, we both play on PC now, right? So it's not really an
Right.
issue, but still, it definitely sucks for the people that don't have a PS5 yet. I imagine a lot of people have a PS5 by now, but either way, it still sucks. So I'm not defending that. Any comments about that before I read the next thing?
Yeah, I mean it's a bummer. This whole year has been very bad for the prices of many things. I mean,
Yeah,
notably eggs, but also like video games
yeah,
have gone up in a lot of ways, as we'll talk about through Xbox and Nintendo. It doesn't really affect me either for similar reasons, but that doesn't make it not bad.
yeah,
I do agree about the Midnight Black accessories; they'll look really cool. I don't. I'm not going to get a Portal, and I don't, need the headset or the earbuds. But the DualSense looked cool, but my DualSense worked fine for the little time that I actually play a PS5. So,
yeah.
I'm good.
Another cool thing was you can play the PlayStation 1 and PSP classics that are on PS Plus Premium on the portal now. So that was a cool feature that they did not advertise at all. It was like a very hidden cool thing that they did. So I would have been into that. I have a portal. When I could use PS5 used to be my main platform, and that would have been really cool. So that was a cool thing they did. Now that's pretty much it for news for them. Like they didn't really have a lot of like major news. Like there was no console launch, no handheld talk, no nothing like that. It was been relatively quiet on the hardware front, and it was the same way with the games. Astrobot came out last year, and we've really gotten nothing first party wise from Sony since then. The main thing so far has been the Days Gone remaster that they did, and Death Stranding 2, which comes out next week. But other than that, it's been very quiet on the first party front. We got a couple state of plays, and they were very third party focused. Now, Dory and I both really liked the state of play last time. But yeah, but it was definitely lacking the first party. It had no Wolverine, didn't show any live service games. Uh, so that was a big issue. Any comments about that, Dory?
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that they haven't had more games that are actually, studios owned by them.
Yeah.
I think we'll talk about some of the games that they've tried to come out with in a minute. But generally, I haven't been super impressed. I haven't really bought any games from PlayStation since probably Astrobot. I think that's the last game I bought from the PS Store. I could be wrong. And I didn't even buy that one day one. I think I bought it back in May or no, December.
It was last year, I think.
Yeah, actually, no. The last game I played was Expedition 33, and I only bought that because it was running like crap on my PC for some reason. I blame the Unreal Engine. And before that, it was the Pirate Yakuza game,
Yeah.
and I only bought it there because I had some gift cards. So like 2 out of 3 of those, even Astrobot, I think I had gift cards for. So pretty much all of those games, the only reason I even used Sony was just because I had gift cards that I specifically asked for. And Astrobot, of course, was limited to PlayStation. And if it wasn't working on my PC, I had to try PlayStation. So, but yeah, just not a big year for Sony for me. I'm sure that'll be reflected at the end of the year. Um, I'm hoping to see more from Insomniac especially. But really any first party. I mean, I know we're getting Ghost of Yotai in a few months. So that's exciting. I am looking forward to that. So I hope that can bring a little late year excitement for Sony fans.
All right, Dory, can you hit on the live service
Sure.
part of the topic?
Right. Yeah. So I added this part just because I thought it was worth noting. But I mean, recently, Marathon has been delayed from its previously announced September release, I want to say, and to a time that we're not even sure of. Of course, people from Bend just got fired, and a live service got canceled. The live service that Naughty Dog had planned got canceled. I'm pretty sure. Obviously, you have the Conquer disaster, but that was largely last year. It just hasn't looked really good for Sony in terms of their live projects, and they don't seem to be learning either because they made some more studios specifically for live service games, and it's been really frustrating to see that as somebody who, grew up loving Sony and really appreciated a lot of what they did. I mean, they canceled so much stuff, right? Like PushSquare.com has The Last of Us multiplayer, Marvel Spider-Man, London Studio had a live service game. They were canceled and closed. Concord, of course. The live service game from Ben Studio was canceled in January, as well as the God of War game from Bluepoint. Fair Games was announced in 2023, but still in production. Marathon just got delayed. Horizon Online is rumored, but the only thing we've seen from Horizon is a Lego project. And even as recently as 6 days ago, Sony says that it remains committed to live service games and will continue to invest in it. It's just ridiculous. It's like they keep hitting their head up against the wall and they're like, you know what we haven't tried yet? Smashing that brick with our face. Like financially. And they're losing money and they're losing fans and they're losing supporters. Like, it's hard to support Sony when they're doing this stupidity over and over again. Like, a lot of people just don't want it. I'm aware that this stuff has its audience. It will always have its audience. It will always have its fans and people who defend it and like it. That's great to some extent. I mean, some of the predatory stuff, not so much. But like on like a basic level, like I'm not inherently against live service stuff, like ethically. Just some of the aspects of it seem difficult to do in a way that seems healthy for consumers, right? Even if you don't have microtransactions and you don't have, all these really pricey cosmetics, and you don't have pay to win stuff, it still seems like a model that is driven to, bleed people's wallets dry, right? So, I know we live under capitalism, yada, yada, but just feel like, I don't know, companies could be doing better than this, especially Sony. I love Sony for their single player narrative experiences. I don't play it for live service. I know that Sony's not going to tailor it towards me or people like me, but time and time again, people have showed out for those single player experiences. For Marvel Spider-Man, for God of War, for Horizon. Like, people are showing out for these games, Ratchet and Clank. And Sony's like, nah, we're going to keep investing in this other stuff that keeps getting studios closed and games canceled and people fired in this terrible economy. It's very frustrating. So I just wanted to rant about that a little bit. I'm not saying that Sony can't turn it around. Of course they can. They're a billion-dollar company, internationally known, but I just don't think they want to. And that's what sucks.
Yeah, it was such a mistake to focus on live service games. If it really affected their whole generation, I think it really set them back years. Like the PS5, I thought started off so strong with like Miles Morales and Astrobot and we got Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok, and we got a couple bangers. Even though you can argue that they were backwards compatible, like they were on PS4, so does it count as a PS5 exclusive?
Right.
We didn't really have a lot of PS5 only games, really. Like it was what, just Spider-Man 2, but
Pretty much.
it didn't really affect me. I didn't care about that. But after that, it's been just dry for first party, and I got so tired of Sony nickel and diming me, charging me for like a ridiculous price, increasing the PS Plus premium, and was the final straw for me to finally just stick with PC, and I've been on PC ever since. So I've only bought uh, first party games on PlayStation, and there hasn't been any, so I haven't really bought anything since Astrobot,
Right.
which was in October, of last year. So it's been dry for me. The only thing I've been playing on my PlayStation is college football because it's not on PC, and that's only when just want to play something for like an hour. So it's been dry for PlayStation so far, and I've not been happy with their focus on live service games. I mean, they are working on stuff. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
Right.
it's not like there's nothing coming out, but it's just
Like
we
we
don't know
said,
where they are.
the state of play was great, and there's stuff to look forward to, and I'm excited about Ghost of Yotai. So it's not like we're doomsaying about Sony of all things, but
Yeah, they'll be
it's
fine.
still it's disappointing to see what they focused on. Sorry, go ahead.
They'll be fine, but it's also like now that I'm on PC, I don't mind waiting. You know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
certain franchises I can't wait for. Like Last of Us Part 3 came out, then or God of War 3 or something like that. Then yeah, I buy it day one on PlayStation. But like Ghost of Yotei, I can easily wait for the PC version now. Like like Stellar Blade was a monster hit for Steam, like monster hit. Like this is probably the most successful, one of the most successful games they've ever had on PC now. That's single player,
Right.
and Sony's seeing that dollar. So don't be surprised if PlayStation starts going into the Xbox territory of putting games on PC day one. And if they do that, I'll buy all their games day one. Like I'll fully support them because I love Sony's games. So
Yeah.
there's an audience for me for from me for PlayStation and Xbox if they put their games on Steam. So let's move on to Xbox now. Xbox has had a much better year, obviously. Um,
Yeah.
it's been a really good year for Game Pass. They've had a lot of bangers, especially exclusive bangers. They had Avowed, which was from Obsidian. They had South of Midnight, which is Compulsion Games, and they had Doom, The Dark Ages, which was id Software, and that's just the first party ones. They also had Expedition 33 being on Game Pass day one, but that was a big one. Is there anything other ones that I'm missing?
I don't think so. We have the Indiana Jones DLC to look forward to,
No,
but
I mean, what came out so far the first 6 months of the
no,
year?
I know. I'm struggling to think of anything that came out besides those three. Those three were the big ones. If I played it on Game Pass, Elder Scrolls.
Oh yeah, Elder Scrolls. That
Um,
was day one in Game
uh,
Pass as well. That's the one I was forgetting.
yep.
Yeah, but
So that one too.
yeah, so that one is on PlayStation, but yeah, it was cool to get it on Game. The Doom is on PlayStation as well. But and PC, of course. So it's been a really good year for Game Pass, I think. This is probably the best year for Game Pass in terms of games ever so far. Like it's been fantastic. And it's gonna be very consistent now. I think 2025 is the year where Game Pass is finally coming into like its peak because all the games that they've been working on, all the publishers and developers that they've bought are starting to show the results. So I think everything's adding up to consistency on Game Pass. Now I have issues with subscription services and the whole thing, all the But if the subscriptions appeal to you, then Game Pass is probably is obviously best deal that you can possibly get. I mean, especially on PC, there's such an advantage to being on PC compared to console. It's not even funny. They got to pay like what $20 a month for Ultimate, and you only have to pay $11 or $12 if you're on PC Game Pass. And I don't see the point of getting Ultimate unless you really care about Xbox Anywhere, like the cloud, which I don't care about. So you're only paying $12 a month. So PC gamers have it great. So it's been a really good year for Xbox. Dory and I have beaten every game that we mentioned. So
Yep.
I've had a good time. No, I haven't. I bought all these games on Steam, but either way, I'm having a good time. All right.
I played all these games on Game Pass. South of Midnight, Doom, and Elder Scrolls. I also played Atomfall. I know that's not as big of a release,
Yeah.
but also played that and Avowed. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of them
So
too. Yeah, it was on Game Pass
yep.
day one as well.
Yep.
All right. So the big news this year for Xbox was the handheld, right? Now,
Right.
there's been controversy with this for several reasons. First of all, they abandoned their original hardware handheld plan. So be mindful. The Rogue Xbox Ally and Ally X are not Xbox handhelds. They're Rogue Allies with the Xbox logo slapped onto it. So just be mindful. It's a PC handheld with the Xbox logo on it. Now the UI is good, is really cool looking, and it's going to be seamless with your PC Game Pass and all that. But this is not an Xbox handheld. Not a lot of games are not Xbox Anywhere. I think some people said you can only play like 10% of their library on this handheld. So if you're a big Xbox console gamer, you can't play most of your games on this handheld. Just be mindful of that. It's not an Xbox handheld. That was a big controversy. The marketing's been has been misleading for casual consumers. I think if you're a hardcore gamer, you're probably gonna know that it's a PC handheld, but they're marketing it as the Xbox handheld, and it's not. The actual Xbox handheld got canceled by them. They're not going to make their own handheld. They said they're going to work with Asus, Lenovo, MSI, Razer. They're going to work with other manufacturers to make stuff for them. All right, just be mindful of that. Um, but the handheld itself, the Rogue Xbox Ally in X looks really cool. I thought it was very impressive. The screen is nice. I heard there's nice impulse triggers. It's 16 to 24 gigabytes of RAM. It's 5 to 12 gigabytes to 1 terabyte of storage. There's new Z2 series chips. I thought the UI looked really clean. It's going to have nice streaming on it, and it's going to have PC Game Pass support. It's going to be a nice handheld. Just be mindful. It's a PC handheld. This thing's going to be like $900 to $1,000. I think they increased the price of the Rogue Ally X by $100. I think it's like $900. This one's going to be,
it's pretty pricey. Like 800 is what I heard.
yeah, the Rogue Ally X is $900. So
Oh boy,
they increased it by 100. So this one's going to be at least $900,000. So this is a premium handheld for the people that care about this stuff. All right, just be mindful. This is not a casual go to the store, buy your little Timmy a nice, cool $300 handheld like Switch. No, it's not that. Switch is not even that anymore. To be honest with you.
right.
So just be mindful of that. That was a big controversy. You have any comments about that, Dory?
Yeah, I mean, I was excited at first when I saw this. I've gone back and forth about getting myself into kind of the handheld market again. But that's just way too much for me, especially as someone who the only reason I even touch Xbox or Microsoft at all is because I have a PC and I run Windows and I have Xbox Game Pass, and that's it. And if they keep increasing the price of Xbox Game Pass, I mean, I'm willing to pay up to a certain amount. I'm not sure exactly what that limit is. They haven't hit it yet. But I have at least had to rethink it for like a second. Like, am I willing to pay this? Yes, I am. And then but eventually they'll hit that mark, and then I just won't be playing Xbox games anymore. And so it's not worth it for me at all. I also I like playing on my PC. I like playing on my TV if I hook my laptop up, or if I'm playing PlayStation, God forbid.
Yeah.
So I'm in no hurry to get this at all. I'd be more likely to get a Switch 2 than get this, or get a Steam Deck. Honestly, that would probably be the best fit for me because most of my games are on Steam. I usually play my games on Steam. So that would be what makes the most sense for me. I do have Game Pass and I enjoy Game Pass, but I really only use it for day one stuff. And every now and then, I have a library of 15 games. Not all of them are day one stuff. Some of them are just games that I've been meaning to play but haven't. But anyway, yeah, this didn't move much for me. I was a little excited at first, and then as I realized how much it was and who it was marketed towards and what was going on, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, the PC handhelds are bigger online than they actually are in person. The Switch 2 outsold the Steam Deck in 1 week. So, the PC handheld market is very tiny, to be honest. Yep. Steam Deck, it seems like Steam Deck users are everywhere. Everybody's bragging about it, things like that. It's a very tiny market. It's like VR. It's a little better than VR, but it's not. It's not a big market. All right. Another big difference between about Microsoft this year was that they really focus on the Xbox Anywhere marketing more than ever. Now it's not the first time they use Xbox Anywhere, but they full on embrace it this year. It's literally their main focus now. It's every multi-device, multi-store, PlayStation, Nintendo, Steam. It's all about Xbox is everything. Their main thing is Xbox is everything. This is an Xbox. This is an Xbox. The handheld's an Xbox. Now they're getting into VR with the Oculus. They're gonna slap the Xbox logo on an Oculus. So they're gonna be in VR. Everything's an Xbox. Your toaster's an Xbox. Your refrigerator's an Xbox.
you get an Xbox. You get an Xbox.
Exactly. But they did clarify that we are still getting a new Xbox console in 2027, and as PlayStation also does, is they're partnering with AMD. So they're gonna have AMD chips in it, because why not? They love working with that or chips and everything. So Um, it's coming out in 2027. The new Xbox apparently, and they're also like apparently the new console is going to be PC like, and it's going to be very open. There's been talk about putting Steam on Xbox. I don't know how that's going to work. And I don't know, that's going to affect sales on Xbox. Like, I mean, buying Xbox games on the Xbox market. How do you balance that when people are going to buy the games on Steam? I'm not even sure that's true or not. But they're promising cross store support and of course AI enhanced graphics, which is the new thing.
Right.
That's what Nvidia is pushing. Uh, which is mixed. Some great results, but mixed. DLS, all that stuff. Anyway, any comments about the Xbox Anywhere? Or
It does nothing for me. I don't care. Every time they're like, you can play Xbox here, here, here. I'm like, cool. I'm still going to use my laptop. I'm still going to use Game Pass. There's literally no better setup for me except
yeah,
maybe having something in my hands, but that's not worth $900. So it pretty much does nothing for me. I don't really care.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I just don't really care. It doesn't move the needle for me at all. Not saying it's bad or I dislike it. It's just
yeah,
not personally relevant to how I play Xbox games.
yeah. It doesn't really do anything for me. The only benefit is that everything's on Steam, which has been like that for a long time now. But it, if I was on PlayStation, then yeah, it would do a lot for me because it'd be cool that I can play every game on it, PlayStation instead of Xbox. If the games were exclusive to Xbox, Game Pass only, then I would get Game Pass. So I adjust to whatever works for me. I have a Steam Deck and a Rogue Ally, and I have a laptop and I have a PC, so I can play Xbox Anywhere already. I never found the appeal of playing games on my phone. I just don't see the appeal to that tiny little screen. Like it's way smaller than a handheld. I just don't. I never understood that. It's not for
Yeah, I
me.
totally agree.
Yeah, even though I think streaming has really come a long way, and streaming looks great right now. I think it's not like what it was 5 years ago, where it was like hard to play on. Like it's very impressive how well games stream now. But still, I don't. It doesn't do anything for me. Xbox is not my main platform. I just buy their games on Steam. All right, last topic about Xbox is they increased the Series X to $600 because of the tariffs. So that was a big topic. It was a big issue. Again, doesn't affect me. I had a Series X. I traded it in and bought statues with the money. Because everything was on Steam and on a game PC Game Pass, so I didn't see a point of owning a console. It was just pointless. Now, if they put Steam on Xbox, and I feel like playing games on my TV, then I might consider getting an Xbox. But until then, I'll never buy another Xbox again, as long as all their games are on PC. Any comments, Dory, about that?
Yeah, similar to you, doesn't really matter to me. I just am not super invested in the Xbox ecosystem. It's sad. I grew up with the Xbox and the Xbox 360,
Yeah,
and I loved both of them. But I'm pretty much out of the Xboxes. Like you, honestly, I've thought about it. If Sony and Xbox both like just had stuff on Steam day one,
yeah,
I'd probably just be a PC player. I
yeah,
mean, that's really the only thing keeping me at that and like hardware concerns because I know that my PS5 can run just about anything, whereas my PC almost never has issues except with Unreal. But even those issues I've mostly solved through settings on my laptop that I figured out later on. But either way, that's really the only thing keeping me back from selling my PS5 and getting rid of it. Honestly, if they made games on Steam or PC day one, I probably get rid of my PS5 because at this point I don't really need it. But hardware concerns. I always want to have a good backup just in case something runs like shit. So
yeah.
I'd probably be too nervous to actually pull the trigger and do that. But yeah, it doesn't really affect me. We can move on to Nintendo.
Yeah. So overall, I think it's a smart move on Xbox's part. They're gonna keep being in third place if they don't make adjustments, and I think it's a smart move for them to focus on Xbox being everywhere and becoming more of a third party publisher.
Yeah,
Because they bought all these publishers. It's stupid not to sell Call of Duty on PlayStation and make tons of money. It's just be stupid.
Yeah.
So, but as Dory said, if they put everything on, well, Xbox already has, but if PlayStation put everything on day one on on PC as well, I'd buy everything on PC, 100%.
Right.
If Nintendo did this, I would never buy a Switch either. But I would
Right.
support all their games, but never buy hardware. But
Sure.
Nintendo does its own thing, and they know everybody's gonna buy their consoles, including the Switch 2, which launched on June 5th. So it's been around for a couple weeks now. And if you didn't know what a Switch 2 is, for some reason you live under a rock, it's the successor to the Switch 1. It's bigger. It's 1080 screen, 120 hertz. Has 4K support on the dock. It's 256 gigabytes of storage. Two dual USB-C ports, which is a blessing. I love that. I wish the Steam Deck had that. And an adjustable kickstand. The Joy-Con 2s had a magnetic attachment, so that way better. It feels way better than the old Joy-Cons where like you had to slide them in and always feel wobbly. The controls are bigger. It has mouse support and then the C button for game chat. Obviously, the biggest game on the Switch 2 so far has been Mario Kart World. Uh, it sold 3.5 million units in the first 4 days, so it makes it the Nintendo's fastest launching console of all time, and it's the fastest selling console ever. So in the history of gaming, it's the fastest selling console ever. They had a very strong pre-order, launch coverage. They stocked very well, so scalpers couldn't do anything. They scalpers got their asses kicked in this launch because
Good.
yeah, great move by Nintendo because they gave so many stores tons of Switch 2s. So it was scalpers couldn't get anything. You could the day it launched, you could easily walk into Target, Walmart, or GameStop and probably get one. So it was very easy to get. Unless I mean I live in a I live in a pretty good populated county, one of the biggest in Florida. But I think for the most part, most people can just walk in and get one if they really looked for it. If anyone says they couldn't find it, I don't think they really looked. To be honest with you, I think it was very easy to get. Um, it's priced at $450, which was Nintendo's most expensive launch ever. That was a big controversy. And then of course, we've been talking about it all year with the tariffs and how it's going to affect Nintendo, and the worry was going to be it was going to be like $700, and who's going to buy a $700 Switch too? But they didn't. They actually didn't change the price of the Switch 2. They changed the price of all the accessories and made it $5-10 more, um, which actually a smart move on their part. If you have to increase the price, don't increase the console because people get pissed about that. It was people are not gonna mind spending the $5 more for a controller if they really want it. So it's good marketing, even though it's not the best for consumers. The big thing was the C button, the game share. You can voice chat finally. They like to do their own thing. God forbid they ever use Discord. Nope, we're gonna do our own thing. You know, Nintendo.
Yeah.
That was a big thing. The camera was a big feature. I never got into that. I really don't care. Personally, for me, another big difference was the GameCube support. Now we're getting GameCube games. So far, we've gotten F-Zero GX, Soul Calibur 2, and Wind Waker. They look fantastic. They play fantastic. The save feature where you can like save 4 spots and then load into any save spot you did, and you can just unlimited times. It really changes the game because if you made a mistake, you can go back. It's like a rewind feature, so that was fantastic. Uh, One problem I had was they got rid of the gold points, the coins you get for making
Right.
purchases, and then they got rid of the vouchers, which I really liked as well. So there's no vouchers for the Switch 2. So the vouchers was you buy it for $99, you get 2 vouchers, and you buy 2 games with the 2 vouchers. So you save like 20 bucks. So if you knew you were gonna buy the games day one, it saved you 20 bucks if you buy digital. So it worked out. So it's disappointing, but if it is what it is. Anyway, any comments about the Switch 2? I know you didn't get one. You don't have a lot to say and
Right.
all that, but anything?
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo's had kind of a mixed year for me. I liked what I saw from the Nintendo Switch 2 when they showed it off. I was pretty impressed with the showcase. And then, I don't know, bits of information came here and there, and eventually that price point, like, kind of was revealed. 450 is just too much for me personally. I don't use my Switch. I mean, I flat out just don't use it. It's been collecting dust for a while now. So I just don't really see the use for me personally. Now that said, I do like the way Bonanza looks. I like the way Metroid Prime 2 looks. Metroid Prime 2. Metroid Prime 4, I mean. And I don't know. I like the hardware upgrades, but I don't use the Switch 2 for third party. So that doesn't really move the needle for me either. Uh, I don't know. I like the Switch as like a kind of an indie machine or a way to comfortably play third party indie games, but I haven't even used it like that in a long time, honestly. And now that they've gotten rid of the voucher program and the gold program I actually used, the voucher program I didn't. It just kind of sours me a little bit on Nintendo. Generally, I haven't been really happy with their business practices lately, especially making Mario Kart $80. I just thought that was. I know you could do the bundle and get it for 50, but I just think everything costs way too much. I know that's not entirely on Nintendo, so I'm not going to completely blame a Japan-based company for issues that are stemming from America. But at the same time, it is a frustrating situation regardless. Now, I'm not interested in any of those accessories. I do not care about their 15 frames per second Discord equivalent or their camera or anything like that. They're not getting my money for any of that. So maybe someday, if they drop that price down a little bit, I might get a Switch 2. But I can't really see why I would want it right now. Bonanza is very tempting, but even then, I'm just spending money on a console just to spend money to get a game, and then I'm done with that game, and then what? It collects dust again. So I don't know. I need to see more games for the Switch 2, or for that would run better on the Switch 2 before I really decide on it. So I think down the road I'll probably get it because eventually I'll just have to. Because eventually Nintendo will be like, yeah, you can't play our games unless you have the Switch 2, and that'll suck. But I'll probably just have to talk him into splitting for the Switch 2, and then we'll trade in her Switch, and yeah, we'll go from there. But that's down the road, not anytime soon.
Yeah, if you want an indie machine, I would get a Steam Deck. I mean, you can play all the Steam games, and the indie is will run fantastic on it. The Switch 2, yeah, if you haven't bought a Switch 2 yet, I think you should wait. The games are not there yet in terms of first party. We only have Mario Kart World and then Donkey Kong next month. It's a bit limited, but of all the developers, Nintendo's the best at first party, and there'll be plenty of games to buy on the Switch too. So if you wait a year, you'll have a lot to play, I think, unless you absolutely don't care about any of the IPs. In terms of the Switch 2 itself, it's a significant upgrade over the Switch 1. It's a monumental difference. And if you have Switch 1 games you haven't played yet, it's worth buying for that because it really makes a difference in all those games. It makes those games very playable and much better in a lot of them. So it is a significant difference. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is now the highest rated game of the year now. It passed Clear Obscure Expedition 33 as the highest rated game of the year because the biggest problem with Tears of the Kingdom was the 30 frames. So it changes the whole game. So it's really a huge difference. But otherwise, yeah, I would wait. But I would say the Switch 2 is a success and it's really good. The screen's disappointing. It's not OLED, but it is Switch Pro more than a Switch 2, but it really plays very well. So in terms of the games, we got Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which is a decent game. It's really hard. We got Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, which people really liked. Mario Kart World, which has been a big success, and it's good. The Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, I would never buy that in a million years. And then we got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 editions, both being very expensive, but you get them free if you own the subscription for $50 a year, which most Nintendo fans have. So I don't see why you wouldn't if you play on Switch a lot. So it's been a good year for Nintendo. It's been a very good year. Good console launch. Good games to play for the most part. It's lacking right now, but the second half of the year is gonna start getting stacked. I think we're gonna have a Nintendo Direct coming up soon at some point, and you'll see all the fall games. So not a good time to get a Switch 2 right now, but it will be a good time to get it eventually. So overall, we talked about PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo, and I would say Xbox has probably had the best year in terms of games, and Nintendo probably had the best year in terms of hardware and success. Uh, so I think that's fair. And PlayStation's had the worst,
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
and then PlayStation's had the worst year. But I think if you're on PlayStation, you're probably fine because there's so many third party play. There's so many games to play right now. It's not even funny.
Right.
All right, so let's transition into outside the big three and talk about our favorite indie game of 2025. And my favorite indie game of the year is Blueprints, which I'm almost done with. And it's a fantastic puzzle game, challenging, very fun. It's addicting. It's very interesting. It's one of the most highly rated games of the year. It's must play. It's free with PS Plus and Game Pass. And it's not that expensive on Steam, I don't think. So I totally recommend it to everybody, but you have to be into puzzle games. It's usually not my genre, but I've been really liking this game. It's definitely a fun game, and it's the only indie game I've beaten that came out this year. I played indie games this year, but not. This is the only new indie game. So this is easily the best one, and this is probably gonna be the one that wins at the Game Awards. I would assume, unless something else comes out that's monumental. I guess if you count Expedition 33 as an indie game, then that's the best indie game. Do we count that as an indie game? Dory?
Which one?
Does Expedition 33 count as an indie game? Because
Sandfall Interactive is technically a studio of about 30 people, 30 plus people, and only a few of them are actually ex Ubisoft. I would say it's pretty indie. I know it feels like a AAA game or AA game, but I mean, technically, I don't think they have any outside funding coming from any big company. I could be wrong about that.
I think it's indie.
I'm pretty sure it's indie.
So I guess my answer would be Expedition 33 then.
Yeah, I guess mine as well, but it's not what I think about when I think about indie games.
Yeah. So I want to shout out.
That's why.
Go ahead. Sorry.
So that's why my favorite indie game of the year so far is a fucking random game that we saw in a showcase recently called Muffle's Life Sentence. This game fucking rules. I talked about it a few episodes ago, but I was early on and I was being a little tepid about it. I'm like, it's pretty cool, but I don't know. Nah, this game rules. I love it. It's really great. I believe the dev's name is Bossy. But if he finishes the game this year, because it goes in episodes, so I can't really put it on my top 5. Otherwise I would. And it'd be pretty high up. It's a turn-based RPG. It's very much like Earthbound or Undertale, games like that. It's not as complicated necessarily, and it's very indie. I mean, you want to talk games have. He does not have many, but it's a really cool game. A lot of really dark humor. I love a lot of the characters. I love the writing. It's a card-based, turn-based RPG, and I'm not usually into card-based games, but this one's really simple and intuitive, and I find it really fun. And you can make your own deck. It's kind of like Chain of Memories in a way. You can make your own deck. You can have multiple decks, and you can base them around a single gimmick, or you can have a variety of strategies. You can up your health and up your brain space. Game's super messed up. I mean, if you don't have a dark sense of humor, don't play this game. It's a really messed up game. I mean, you're basically playing a guy without a face who can't talk, and it's pretty messed up. But it's really funny to me because I'm fucked up too. So I really like it a lot. If you like Earthbound, if you like Undertale and other games like that are turn-based, have a dark sense of humor, go check this out. Very surreal. The first, I want to say 3 episodes are out, and Bossy says he's about over halfway through, so I imagine there's 2 more episodes left, so maybe he finishes it before the year's up, and I can put it on my GOTY list. please. But yeah, go check this out. It does not cost a lot. It's super cheap, and I promise you'll have a great time. Among 3 episodes, I've had about 10 hours of gameplay, which for how much I spent is awesome. So you're absolutely getting your money's worth. Highly recommend this game. Go check it out. It's called Muffles Life Sentence. It's a very weird game, but I love it a lot.
Yeah, the first episode is free, and the second
Yep.
episode is $4, and the third episode is $4.
Yep.
And the third episode came out this month as well.
Yep. I just played that. It was really good. Surprisingly some tender moments there, but still very ridiculous game that does not take itself very seriously. Very ridiculous characters that are super messed up. Lots of violence, ultra violence. So yeah, go check this out. I love it. It's called Muffles Life Sentence again. So
yeah. So most disappointing game that I played this year, that came out this year, is Gex Trilogy, which I already talked about this episode, so I don't have to say much. But yeah, it was a lazy port. I generally don't have disappointing games because I usually know what I'm. I usually know what I'm expecting when because I always do my research and I watch videos and reviews, and I usually know what genres I'm into. So I don't really have disappointing games. Something about that really disappointed me, like Cyberpunk when it first came out. But yeah, Gex Trilogy was definitely a very lazy port. So
yeah, that's a shame. Mine is I say disappointing here, but I just thought it could be better. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but the Midnight Walk, I liked it. It was a good game, but it could have been a lot better.
Yeah,
it felt really plotting at times. I felt like the trailer was a little misleading because I feel like, and maybe this is just my interpretation, but it seems like the idea they were giving you was that you were going to be shooting monsters, and there's really none of that. The things you shoot do almost nothing on the monsters. There's almost nothing that you do with the candlestick gun. Don't get me wrong, the vibes are off the chart. The music is great. The aesthetic is awesome. But through all of that, I just didn't. There's just not a lot here in terms of a game. It's just kind of shallow. A lot of the same hide and seek mechanics you've seen 1,000 times before. Sometimes the AI would bug out, and you'd have to die to reset it, which kind of sucked. Some of the puzzles I think I had to look up, but that wasn't a huge deal. Generally, just wasn't. I just wanted better from this game. I thought this game was going to be great and not just good. So it was a little disappointing, a little bit of a letdown. But again, not a bad game. Go check it out, maybe on a sale. It's not a super long either, so I still recommend it. But it's not as big of a recommendation as I wish it could be.
yeah. I thought it was disappointing as well. I thought it was like a 7 out of 10. I didn't like the stealth in the game. I thought because when I saw the trailer, I thought it was gonna be a shooter. And it ended up being a stealth game more. And the stealth mechanics in the game were not great. The AI was really bad, and I was get spotted even though I'm hiding properly, and it made no sense. Like the detection was ridiculous, and some of the gameplay itself was just not fun. It was tedious, but it was too short to like be upset about it. So
right,
it was a 7 out of 10. So, but it could have been like an 8 or a 9. And I agree. The gameplay ruined it. All right, the worst game I played this year. Now this is not 2025 because if I didn't play any worst games, I don't think. Like the worst game I played this year was Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which was not a bad game, and Atomfall, which is not even a bad game either. But this was like the bottom of my list of new games. So the worst game I played this year was Devil May Cry 2, which is obviously notoriously hated. It's a horrible game. It's one of the worst games ever made by Capcom. They hate this game. It's if you're really big Devil May Cry fan, then try it. I mean, it's a short game. You can fly through it. It's super easy, like laughably easy, because you can just stand there and shoot and kill everything by just standing there and shooting. There's no mechanics at all. The gameplay is so bland. It just feels like they rushed it, and
they did.
It's a horrible game. It's just try it if you really care about Devil May Cry. Like you want to go through all the games, but otherwise, this is an easy skip. Like it, I don't know. I think it was like retconned anyway with Devil May Cry 5, which takes place after 2. The 2 used to be like the final game in the timeline, and now 5 is, and so they changed the story anyway. So it's an easy skip. It's a horrible game, and the level
It's,
design is horrendous. And Dante is not Dante in that game. He's very ultra serious, and it's out of character, and it doesn't feel like Dante at all. Okay, so what is
uh,
your worst game played this year?
yeah. So my worst game. I played this for 20 minutes. I had the game Black Sad on my Steam list for a very long time. And you know me, I love a good detective game. I love anthropomorphic animal based detective game. This one sucked.
Yeah.
It was so bad. A lot of it was tech issues. The frame rate was abysmal. I literally couldn't, like, I closed out the game and tried to reload it. Literally couldn't reload it. Uninstalled it, tried to reload it. Wouldn't work. The 3D models looked bad. The voice acting wasn't very good. This is one of the games. This is a game that I got turned off from very quickly, and that usually doesn't happen for me. I'm usually able to give a game a chance, but it should not have very positive on on Steam. Do not let that fool you. It's very buggy. It just felt completely unplayable, poorly optimized. A lot of the recent reviews are negative for those exact reasons. It says very positive, so I was kind of fooled at the time.
Yeah.
But don't be fooled. This game does not run well. I have a perfectly good PC. I've been able to play many games. I played Doom: The Dark Ages pretty much fine. So it ain't me. I guess the devs have also done other games that were poorly optimized as well. So yeah, don't. If you want to go play a game with an anthropomorphic animal, go play Chicken Police or something like that. Or there's another game that came out with a cat detective or something like that. That's on my wish list. But yeah, it's called Cat Detective Albert Wild, and it came out this year in January. I haven't played it yet though. But yeah, Black Sad, terrible. I guess you're supposed to disable the VSync or something, and I didn't find that out until I went into help my game isn't fucking working. And then, like I said, I tried to boot it back up so I could fix it. So maybe I could give it another shot. No, it literally kept crashing, wouldn't even start. So yeah, hard skip for me. Worst game I've played this year, easily.
All right, so let's get into our final section of the topic, which is our top 5 games of 2025 so far. So we're not going to rotate because it'll turn into a 30-minute conversation if we do. So be
Right.
relatively quick with why it's on your list. We're not gonna dive into deep like all these
Sure.
games because we talked about these games already anyway.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll go through my list, and then we'll if we have anything in common, we'll just talk about it at the same time. Obviously, our number one game is Clear Obscure Expedition 33. I mean, was that a secret?
Shocker.
We
Yeah.
will praise this game enough. I mean, we had a spoiler cast for it.
Yeah.
We
And we almost never do spoiler casts anymore.
yeah, and
That's how much we loved it.
the story is the best of the year. I think it's the best music
Yeah.
soundtrack of the year. The gameplay is a blast. The turn-based combat is hard to get used to with the parrying and the dodging. Sometimes, like you definitely have to get good at it, but it's rewarding when you do. The RPG elements are great, and it's a high quality game. It's insane how well this game looks and plays and sounds with 30 people that made it. It's absolutely insane. This game better be nominated for Game of the Year. I think it will be, but
Absolutely.
it'd be nonsense if this game is
He's
not.
already mentioned it and dedicated like a minute to it. There's no way this thing isn't at least nominated. I
Yeah.
think it wins, but we'll see.
And it was the highest rated game of the year until Legend of Zelda.
Until fucking, I hate this bullshit. Tears of the Kingdom 2, the Switch 2 version. Oh, Tears of the Kingdom 2. Tears of the Kingdom Nintendo Switch 2 version is now get the fuck out of here. That's cheating.
Yeah,
Stupid.
which is an amazing game, but it's yeah.
Yeah, that's just stupid.
Clair Obscur is the best game of the year.
Yeah. Agreed, for sure. Um, yeah. Do you want to get into our number twos?
Sure. Nothing you wanted to add? I think I hit on
Oh,
everything.
God. I mean, I love this game so much. I'm literally going to a con in September, and I'm going to cosplay as Mael. I have this planned out, so I don't have all the stuff yet, but that is a rough plan. But yeah, I love Mael with my whole heart. She's one of my favorite characters of all time now. I'm utterly obsessed with her. The gameplay is just phenomenal. I recommend if people are struggling with parries,
Yeah.
parry it. Sorry. That that you put it on story mode, which was you
Yeah.
can thank Jennifer English for, because she was like, Sandfall, I really suck at these kind of games. Can you please give it an easy mode so I can play this with my girlfriend and we can just have a good time? So thank Jennifer English if you played this on story mode at all, because it wouldn't exist without her. But anyway, yeah, this game is incredible. I'll have more to say at the end of the year, but we've already talked about it a lot. I love so much of it, the music, the characters, the writing. First you go we, and then you go woo, and it goes wee woo, wee woo. I think just like this is hard hitting stuff that you're not gonna find. But yeah, I just fucking love it. There's so many iconic scenes. Good, 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 good.
Yeah.
I could just quote it forever. So yeah, I love this game. I'm literally obsessed with it. I love it so much. It's not perfect for me. It has some very minor flaws. Like I wish it had a better checkpointing system, and I think some of the later bosses are a little ridiculous with how many times you need to perfectly parry them. But those are minor gripes, and you can always adjust the difficulty. So I didn't do a lot of the side content, despite being obsessed with the game, but I did spend about 30 hours in it. Loved it, pretty much top to bottom. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's move on to our number two.
So my number two is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which I didn't expect to love so much because it's usually not my kind of game. Because it's like a realistic simulator of medieval times, but wow, the narrative is so good. The characters are all lovable. It's fantastic. It's one of the best games of the year. It was my game of the year until Expedition 33 came out, and this is a high quality game. It's beautiful looking. The voice acting is top notch. It should be definitely should be nominated in those categories. It is an achievement. It's just not for everybody because it's hyper realistic. So it's kind of like that Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like you're in the world and you're living a realistic like simulated version of what it's like to be in the medieval times. You have to eat, you have to drink, you have to watch your hunger. You have to watch if you're sick, like that kind of thing. But it is amazing. I highly recommend it. It's just not for everybody. But it is one of the best RPGs by far of the year. So, all right, Dory.
Yeah, my number two is going to be a game that you know quite well. It's Split Fiction. Seb and I played this together. It was an absolute blast. A lovely game. The last, I want to say 30 minutes, 45 minutes, mind blowing in just how Joseph Ferris and the rest of Hazelight put this together. Just incredible to me. There were some stress points. There were some parts that I wasn't crazy about, but they were in the far minority compared to how many ideas worked here. Were brilliant, were fun, were engaging. I'm not usually into platformers, and I'm definitely not usually into co-op games, but this was incredible. I loved it a lot. It was my game of the year for quite a while until not quite a while, but for at least a good while before Expedition came out, and then superseded them. But yeah, Seb, I know you have this as your number three, so this is a good segue for you to talk about it.
Yeah, so Split Fiction is my number three. It is Joseph Ferris at his finest. It's arguably better than It Takes Two. Um, it was such a blast. It was my game of the year until I played the last two games I just talked about, and I beat it with Dory. And the gameplay is still the best gameplay of the year for me. Like in terms of just gameplay, I think this is the best gameplay. And gameplay was where this game really shined the most. The level design, the creative ways they came up with all the platforming and puzzles were just insane. Like this game went on and on and on in a good way. Sometimes it dragged, but for the most part, it was such a blast to play. Like this game is pure fun. Like this is a gamer's game. It's not the most accessible platformer though. It is a challenging game for for it's not just like your spouse that doesn't play video games can just jump into like you're. This game is definitely challenging at times, but the checkpoints are extremely forgiving, except for that one section with the centipede, which I
Yes.
didn't like, and the pinball one was annoying too. But otherwise, it was very accessible, and the storyline was actually surprisingly really good. I mean, I guess It Takes Two was good too. So, well, actually, all of them, Way Out, Brotherhood, Brothers, I mean, all had good stories. So it was no surprise. It had a heartfelt, good story, and then the soundtrack was really good too. So it was very underrated. The soundtrack. All right, number three for you is Avowed, right? So
Yeah.
what do you like about Avowed?
I didn't expect to like Avowed as much as I did, but I really, really loved it. The combat was the best part of it, which I didn't expect based on previews, but they really tuned it up. They really made it better. I loved using the pistols. I loved using the daggers. It was so fun to play, so fun to fight. I have some quibbles. The story wasn't amazing, but I liked it. I ended up making one really bad decision that fucking emotionally destroyed me, and I wasn't going to go back because the last save point I had was hours before.
Yeah.
So that ended up being kind of a sour part for me, but that was, it was both on me and the game. But I still loved it a lot. The characters were great. The graphics were great. It ran really well on my laptop, so I had really no issues there. It was a fun, game that lasted me, I want to say around 20 hours.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly how long it was, but it was a really good time. It was it's the time's all messed up. It's allegedly I spent 35 hours on it, but I'm not sure that's accurate. But it's possible I spent about 25 to 30 hours or something. I think I left it running at one point overnight, or I don't remember. But I don't think that's completely accurate. But I did spend quite a bit of time on it. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I know Seb doesn't have this on his list, but ranks highly for me. I'm really excited for what Obsidian's doing next, which is Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, Avowed is in my top 10, but I didn't like it as much as Dory. The gameplay was really good, but I thought the story and the characters were lacking for Obsidian game. So it's for me, it was like a high 7 um, overall. I know people don't like this game, but I think the gameplay in this game really shined. I think this is the best gameplay Obsidian's ever done. It's just a shame that it lacked in the story, but it makes me hopeful for Outer Worlds 2 because the gameplay looks really good in that game, and I expect the story to be better. So, still my top 10 games. So I did enjoy it, but I would never say it's a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game at all, but it's definitely didn't live up to the expectations for me. But I'm glad that Dory enjoyed it. So I don't want to shit on your list or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I definitely rate it like higher than I don't know what give it, like maybe 8.5,
Yeah,
maybe.
I remember correctly.
If I
I said a 7.8 ish for me. I think.
Right, too much water, I understand.
Yeah.
I'm always gonna make that joke. But yeah, go ahead with your next one.
Yeah, so the next one for me is the first Berserker Kazan, which is a Souls game. Ben Starr, another Ben Starr game. Uh,
Oh,
he's the main character. Um, it's a really hard Souls game. It has an awesome anime aesthetic, cool cell shading, like it's really cool, like very thick dark lines around it. Makes it really stand out. Feels like Berserk if you know Berserk, and the whole world was really interesting. And it's like based on a Korean game franchise, and it's really hard, like very hard. It's like Lies of P. So it's not for everybody, but wow, is that game really rewarding? The world is really cool. The storyline is interesting. It has a whole story to it. I was definitely interested. It was very understandable characters. Like their motivations were very understandable. I had a blast playing this. This was one of the best gameplays of the year. There's some things about it I didn't like. The reason why it's not my top 3, but as of right now, it's my 4th favorite game of the year. And it's if you like Souls games, this is a must play, I think. But it's definitely not for everybody. I do think they added easy difficulty now. Actually, I think they added a new accessibility option. So Dory, if you want to try it, I think they added easy mode now.
oh, they did. Cool,
Think so. And I have it on Steam, so you can just play it on Steam. You don't have to buy it.
nice.
Did they add an easy mode? Let's see. Easy mode.
I didn't hear about that, so that'd be cool if they did.
Or they already had an easy mode.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they just never talked about it. Oh, when you die 3 times, when you die 3 times, you get it. Yeah. All right. So, yeah. Anyway. All right. What's your number 4?
Number 4. This is the last game. As part of it was where Seven Eyes top 5 just completely deserve. This is the part where Seven Eyes list completely diverges. So my number 4 is Citizen Sleeper 2. I loved Citizen Sleeper 1. Super big fan of that kind of narrative tabletop RPG experience. I play D&D. I play Pathfinder. I'm a game master. I've been a dungeon master. This is right up my fucking alley. Super narrative, heavy game with lots of cool choices. It's not really about the choices, but the choices can impact you in like a survival mechanic way, which I'm not usually into, but it worked for me here. The director of the game is non-binary, so that for me as a non-binary person, that's really cool. I think they're just such an incredible writer. I love the art direction and aesthetic, very cyberpunk, with a very cool comic book feel. If you like Citizen Sleeper 1, I don't know what you're doing. Stop sleeping on Citizen Sleeper 2 and awaken, and go check this out. Wake up, sleeper. So yeah, this was great. This was a great follow-up. The reason it's not higher, I think Citizen Sleeper 2 was my number 2 or 3 game of 2021 or whenever it came out, is because diminishing returns. I mean, it's a great game, but
Yeah.
a lot of it is just what worked in the first. They add a couple new things, and I do think those are generally improvements, but nothing like radically reshapes it or whatever, right? And a lot of the story beats and themes are the same, even though it's different characters. So, but those are still great themes, and they're still written very well, and it doesn't feel like a rehash for the sake of money, but at the same time, it does feel like you could have had this as a DLC, and I don't think anybody would have noticed, really. But it's still a great game. Go play it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not your best indie game, considering it's your highest indie game on your list.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. I'm gonna be real. I didn't think about that. I think I would put Muffles higher than this. Actually, if Muffles was a complete game, I would put it higher. Also, I did want to give the shout out to Muffles anyway, because Citizen Sleeper has a lot more press, relatively. I mean, they're both indie games, right? Indie games.
Yeah.
But I'd rather give Muffles the shout out than Citizen Sleeper, because we've already talked about it anyway. Yeah. But you are right. You are right. I should have probably put that. But let's move on with the last game.
So my last game, my top 5, is Monster Hunter Wilds, which is my second most played game in this list. I put 65 hours into it. I'm usually not a Monster Hunter fan. I wasn't planning on getting this game, but I really enjoyed it because they made it more beginner friendly and more welcoming, and I really appreciated for that. I thought the gameplay in this game was fantastic. It was such a fun time fighting a bunch of cool dinosaurs and monsters, and the gameplay loop of this game is so good. It's one of the best of the year, and I think Capcom did a great job. This game's gonna have long legs. DLCs for this are gonna be great. I had a blast with it. Obviously the storyline was whatever. It was not great, and the campaign was just get through it so we can get to the main part of the game. The end game is the main part of the game, and I didn't really care for the characters that much, but they're really cool looking. Like, they're really well designed, and they have great graphics. The RE engine's fantastic. Biggest problem with this game was the PC port. I think even the console version had problems, but the performance was not great. Even on my PC, it had frame rate issues, very notorious. Definitely struggled with that. But the gameplay loop in the game and the armor sets, the rewards are so rewarding and so fun. It's so addicting. It's the most addictive game on this list so far. Now, I do think it's going to fall out of my top 5 by the end of the year. It's not going to. It's going to be my top 10, but it's definitely going to fall out of my top 10. I mean, out of my top 5, maybe my top 10. Depends what comes out the rest of the year. But it's a really fun game. The gameplay is the second best gameplay of the year for me, and I had a total blast with it. And yeah, I really recommend it. It's fully beginner friendly. So if you want to try out Monster Hunter, this is the Monster Hunter to jump into. So I don't see anyone playing it anymore though. I don't see anyone talking about it as much. But maybe I'm just not following that. But it was like everywhere on Twitter and Blue Sky. Now I don't ever see it. So anyway, Dory, your last game.
My last game, Rip and Tear Until It Is Done. I really like Doom: The Dark Ages. Similar to you, though, this will probably fall out of my top 5. I thought this was really great, but just barely. I had some problems with it, the dragon sections, and I didn't care for the story. Just don't even get me started. I hate when id Software tries to pretend that Doom has a story. I can't stand it. Just give me a fucking Doom game, please. Anyway, my pet peeves aside, the main gameplay is absolutely incredible. It's super fun. It is slower than Doom Eternal, but I personally like that. I found Doom Eternal overwhelming and did not like how fast it was and had to take frequent breaks because I was literally getting like stressed out from it and I was just playing on normal. Now that's me personally. I know some people love that shit and hey, more power to you. I think that's totally subjective. Me, I like the more slower, methodical, tanky pace here. And also it's just relative. You still move pretty fast. I wouldn't say that you're like fucking molasses or anything like that, but you're definitely much slower. So anyway, Rip and Tear Until It Is Done. Go check this out. Game Pass. This was also on Game Pass, right? So I also played this on Game Pass. Huge year for Game Pass. But yeah, those are all our top 5s as of right now. Expecting to change. I've got a top 10 list worth of games I look forward to for the rest of the year, and we'll talk about that next episode.
Right. So Doom in the Dark Ages was my number 6. So if we did a top 10 list, I'll be talking about Doom next. The only reason why I had Monster Hunter higher than Doom is that Monster Hunter I played for 65 hours and Doom I didn't put that much time in. I would beat it and then I was kind of it. So that's the only reason why. But the gameplay of that game was fantastic, and as Dory's spot on. The storyline I didn't care for, and the dragon sections were the worst part of the game. But the gameplay itself was really fun, and I had a blast, and it looked fantastic, and it ran like a dream on my PC. Anyway, so that's our top 5 list. Every game on these lists we did as a thumbnail, so like every game literally in these lists we talked about in full detail. So go check them out on our previous videos because every game, including Citizen Sleeper 2, got its own thumbnail on our podcast. So
oh yeah,
we've really talked the hell out of these games. So that's why we went relatively quick. Next week we're going to talk about probably the full episode. We probably some news here and there, but like otherwise the full episode is going to be focused on what's coming out in the second half of the year. We're gonna go month by month, and because this year is loaded as every other year's. So look forward to that. Thanks for joining me, Dory. You have a good night.
Bye, everybody. Steam Summer Sale's coming out soon, so expect to say goodbye to your wallets.
Don't even remind me. I just totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I only just remembered today.
Hold on to your butts. Bye, everybody.
Bye.